Welcome guys, today we have the first preview of the first Underlord, Hobgen. Hobgen? So let's have a look at Hobgen and his abilities. First of all, after months of watching the beta season from the sidelines, Underlords are finally going to join the battle. Notice that they're saying joining the battle, so the Underlords won't like the Hearthstone characters which have special effects, maybe one active ability that you can use every round, but rather they'll fight along the side of the crew, and each Underlord brings their own unique set of perks and abilities to support the team. So it's likely they're not going to be the crucial game changer or the 3-star unit, but they're going to provide buffs and maybe abilities to stun, to disable, or maybe to boost our allies or debuff the enemy. Let's have a look into the introduction to Underlords. Abilities. Your Underlords is the primary unit on your board. I'm not sure if there's a punishment if your Underlord dies as a primary unit or if there's a special effect. Each Underlord comes with a set of abilities that uses a unique resource called Hype. Hype is pretty cool. Let's get hyped up. So instead of mana or any regen resource, they use hyped. The different resource usage means a mana boost or any kind of items that helps with mana gain or refresher is not going to be effective on the Underlord. But I wonder if the reduction to cooldown is working on the Underlord that stands next to a unit with a refresher. Because if you look at refresher, you will reduce the existing cooldown of the unit by 50% and gives it mana once refresher is used. So maybe there's a small catch to it with hype. Although they don't get the mana, maybe they can get a cooldown reduction, which can be massive. But it is a purple item. As with talents, each neutral round, starting at round 10, you are presented with a choice of talents to pick from. Oh, this is like items. So round 10, not only do you pick items, you also pick the choice of talents. Those talents upgrade the power of your Underlord's abilities. So it's likely to have existing abilities and passive or perks to upgrade those. So if you think about it, it's very similar to Dota or League of Legends where your heroes level up and you can upgrade abilities. And this one, the difference is you are limited to your choices. You can take a branch, say all damage, a branch, say a healer Underlord, or maybe a branch of a debuffer or buffer. I'm not sure exactly how those works, but we're going to make some guides for the best approach for different type of Underlords for different alliances. The first Underlord they're introducing is Hobgen, a fairy who has happened to be an astronist who likes to... Is it arsonist? Arsonist, right? He likes to get into the thick of things with his crew. So he's going to fire things up by the name of it. So he's going to be lobbing firebombs at enemy, lighting his teammates on fire. So it's a good thing in this case. So he's going to set his teammates and enemies on fire. He's probably fire-based. So a ranged-based pyromaniac. So he's a ranged unit. Hobgen gets stronger based on the amount of units he sets on fire. So I'm not sure with unit interactions because some units might have ability that sets enemies on fire. Maybe Dragon Knight's Fire Puff is a fire ability, or just work with Hobgen's own abilities. Let's look at his abilities. The passive ability is Hobgen generates hype passively with additional amount with each enemy that is on fire. An enemy Hobgen attacks is set on fire for short duration. So basically his attack has like a damage over time effect, which is fire. And also this will generate the resource for Hobgen because each enemy that's on fire, he gets his hyped resource. So basically if he attacks fast or if he attacks multiple targets, he's likely to regenerate more of his resource, which is hype, and also cast faster. The second ability should be active because it doesn't say passive. Second ability is explosive. Hobgen lobs a fireball at enemy and dealing damage split evenly among all target adjacent and setting them on fire. Notice that this doesn't say enemies, it says all target. So the fireball is likely going to be a 3x3, so 9 cells of damage, and this is going to be split evenly among those units. How this works is Hobgen is likely going to counter more of the melee lineups because melee lineups with warriors, say with the brownies, maybe with the scrappies, those are more melee lineup that tends to clump up. And if most of the enemies are clumping up, one AoE of the fireball can set all of them on fire, deal damage to them, and also give him the hype resource gain. The damage wise, I'm not sure if it's based on damage over time, or the fireball has a good burst damage. We'll have to test that out. The third ability is Supercharged. Hobgen supercharges the closest friendly ally unit, setting them on fire and granting them increased attack speed. Oh, this is interesting. So he sets them on fire. When you're on fire, likely you'll take some damage. It's exchanging your health with attack speed. And what do we know of the units that benefit the most? I reckon Troll Warlord, Luna. So Troll Warlord, Luna, both have passive. The Troll Warlord attack faster and even faster. Luna can attack more units as she bounces her glades. And on top of that, Medusa could work. I was thinking, you know how he sets them on fire? Imagine you put a Bloodsticker next to him, and at the start he supercharges Bloodsticker. Bloodsticker is like stabbing himself and goes on fire. Before he even runs to the enemy, he dies. It's like, what have you done? So the best candidate may be Slark, if you get a 3-star Slark. If Hobgen can set Slark on fire, Slark is like getting a free moonshot. The problem with Slark is you have to build up attack speed. The faster attack speed you are, the stronger you are. So the build up is very important. Attack speed is going to be crucial for Slark, which is interesting. Between the two ultimates at round 20, so round 20 is when the Underlords pick the ultimates. There are two ultimates to look at. The first one is Let's Go Crazy. Hobgen gets supercharged and will continuously switch between targets that are not on fire. So it does not say enemies again. Do you guys notice that? I'm not sure if they purposely left it out or if this, no, it just happens. Because likely he's going to attack enemy, right? So, but if all the enemies on fire, does he start hitting his own units to set them on fire so he gets more resource? The increased attack speed is not bad because Hobgen will be getting increased attack speed. The question is, does he set himself on fire as well? Because Supercharge sets a unit on fire. So this turns him into like a damage over time, debuffs enemy with fire, and also attacks quite fast. If you want to take the caster route, you can go with friendly fire. Hobgen's buddies threw bombs on the battlefield, dealing damage to enemy units. Initially I thought it's him, but it says Hobgen's buddies. So does he summon units, or does his unit that's fighting the enemy start to throw bombs? I believe it's like, if you guys have seen Warcraft 3 with the Beastmaster where he summoned a bunch of Kodos that runs at people, or maybe with League of Legends, you know, the ring of barrage of like bombs, or just like an AoE spell. So it may be randomly damaging bombs onto the battlefield, and those bombs are going to hit enemy units. Notice this time they used enemy instead of target units. So it says friendly fire, but it doesn't say any units, so it says enemy units. I wonder if the ally unit takes any damage, like the explosive fireball, or if the fires on them, if they take any damage. If they don't, this is a great AoE clear against teams that tends to have a more like, I can't say a more summon board, because there's so many units that summon, it's only Aqua and Ondred. It will get to the team that has a majority of 1-star and 2-star units, which has a base low HP. It will not be very impactful against like 3-star brownies or super strong 3-star units, because they tend to be on 1 cell and they tend to do damage and they have higher base HP. Let's look into the next part, Hobgen's talent selection. Choose wisely. Each Underlord has over 20 talents to unlock and choose from. So we're likely going to see a talent tree. And if you're playing the game, you have multiple choice of talents to go. So as the Underlord themselves level up, or do they kill units to gain experience? It's turning into RPG as well. I like it. And maybe they level up as they go at different stages of the round. They have different abilities to pick from. And with over 20 talents, it's likely going to be like one of those trees, or maybe one of those you pick 2 now, you pick 2 later, then you pick 2 later. Let's have a look. Or maybe you pick 3 later. The first one is Explosive. It says it's a passive for the explosives. It's Grace Fire. Hobgen gains 1 hype per unit hit in the blast. So on top of setting them on fire, he also gains more resource by hitting them. Because Explosive is a magical spell, and it needs resource, if you turn Hobgen into a spellcaster, he's likely to regen more of the hype and cast more of his spells. The downside is, it doesn't say enemies, it says targets, so you might have some friendly fire with this one. But he will surely be gaining more resource faster, because more hype, more cast, and this repeats. The second talent is also for explosive. It says Implosion. Doubles the effect of explosive on the main target. Notice the Hobgen will be throwing this at a main target, which likely is going to be an enemy. Unless the ally is targeted wrongly, then he throws at his own allies. But it's likely he'll throw it at enemies, and those around enemies will take damage. Doubling the effect of the explosive on the main target, maybe it's doubling the fire damage or the explosion damage. So this turns him into a damage dealer, this turns him into a resource gainer. After that, we have Supercharger's passive, or talent selection, which is Kaboom. I like this one actually. When a supercharged unit dies, it explodes, doing damage to nearby enemies and setting them on fire. Now, if you know explosion, you know Kaboom, the first thing you'll think of is techies with the Inventor Alliance with 4 inventors. If you've seen some of our videos, which, you know, the inventor just walks up and all of a sudden it explodes and kills everything. So I'm definitely going to try this with the Inventors Alliance, giving them more chances to explode that instantly kills enemy, which allows them in return to explode the enemies to kill the allies. So this ability has 2 purposes to it. Not only it increases the damage of a unit by turning them on fire, also when they die they explode. Now Scrappy is one of those alliance that actually has a really good health regen, and sometimes it goes to waste if no units are hitting them. Because you're fighting with your frontline Scrappies, your backline Scrappies are not taking damage. They regenerate health, I think 9 a second. So if you set them on fire, they kind of regen their health and they get better attack speed. And then when they get hooked or anything happens to them, they explode. So it's like a win-win situation. Lastly, we have a passive for Hot Rod. So Hobgen attack speed is increased by 10 per level. I'm not sure how many levels there will be, but if you want to think of attack speed, if Hobgen does not have enough levels, it's not really good because the Gloves of Haste gives 25 attack speed, the Moonshot gives 80 attack speed. So if the level of Hobgen is higher than 80, and if you turn Hobgen into an attack dealer like a Troll Berserk kind of unit that goes supercharged and goes with more passives or maybe more mana gain, then it's a really good passive. If you're not really into the attack speed type or more into the buff and debuff type, maybe this is optional for us. And again, they said there's over 20 talents to pick from, and we're only seeing 4 of them, so we're going to have a more detailed analysis after testing out different Underlords with different units. But look, you can see the picture of Hobgen telling Axis like, you go. Axis like, okay. What's going to be funny is, if you have Kaboom, have Hobgen, and have him standing next to a unit with a blink dagger, you set him on fire, he goes in, he's like, Leroy, and he explodes, like, win. Oh, I'm not sure who takes the kills. If the explosive unit actually takes the kills, you can play brownies and turn them into explosive brownies, which is like Inventor upgraded. So quite excited. I have been waiting for the Underlords. By the looks of it, is saying we're at the home stretch now. So today we have the Underlords, revealing 1 of them. Initially I was like, oh gosh, are they going to do this for like 4 more days? Then what I realized is, if you guys look at the picture, you only see 2 Underlords. So if you look here, there are 4 Underlords. We see the lady with the horns, we see Hobgen, which he has a little cigar on him, and we see 2 more. And this time we only see 2 of them in the introducing Underlords. So what I'm assuming is tomorrow there's going to be 1 more introduction to this lady over here, and the day after tomorrow we'll have the big patch. Unless they tricked me and they actually have all 4 Underlords ready, which I don't mind, but I want to patch out a little earlier. So let me know what you guys think about Hobgen and his abilities, and is this a good path for Underlord? Is it good to have them fighting on the other side of units? What are the combinations? I like it, if you ask me, because it adds a twist to the game. You can say, okay, this time I run Knights and I went for a damage Hobgen. Next time I can run Knights with a buff Hobgen. Next time I can run a different Underlord with the same build I'm going. So it's never the same with the same build because you have different Underlords and different choice of talents. You can also adjust directly. You say, this time I have a 3-star pack, maybe I buff the pack. Next time I'm going for Mages, and maybe it's better I go a passive that debuffs enemy with magical damage taken and go with Implosion passive for more fireball damage. So very excited. Thank you so much for watching today's review, guys. Let me know what you think, and I'm excited for the next hero Underlords that's going to be introduced. Now, if you guys like my reviews, I'll be making lots of guides and tips and builds once the big patch comes. Super excited. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow.